Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
Breaking news out of the nation's capital. The Supreme Court rules states cannot kick former President Donald Trump off of the ballot over his actions leading up to January 6th. Thanks for joining us on this Monday. I'm Rhonda Walker.
And I'm Kim DeGiulio in for Jason Colthorpe. The ruling reversed the Colorado Supreme Court's decision that Trump was ineligible to run for or hold federal office. Now here's a live look at the High Court where that ruling came down a day before the Super Tuesday primaries. Alice Barr joins us now in the nation's capital with more.
Hi there. The Supreme Court ruled quickly today in a case that has huge implications for the upcoming election. The judges deciding unanimously that states cannot kick former President Trump off of their ballots. This reverses a Colorado Supreme Court decision where those state Supreme Court justices had said the former president should be off the ballot on grounds that he engaged in insurrection for his actions leading up to January 6th. And this all stemmed from the Constitution's 14th Amendment, a provision there. But essentially, the U.S. Supreme Court has now ruled the lower court had wrongly assumed states can determine if a presidential candidate is ineligible. That makes it clear the High Court believes that Congress, not states, have authority over how to use that 14th Amendment provision. There were a number of other similar challenges out there, but this ruling applies to all states. And it comes a day before Super Tuesday when voters in Colorado will head to the polls along with more than a dozen other states. Former President Trump celebrated the ruling on social media, calling it a big win for America. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Alice. And we are still breaking down the fallout of the Supreme Court's ruling. We'll have much more for you starting on Local 4 News at 4.
New at noon.
A man accused of attacking two men inside of a locker room at a YMCA in Farmington Hills has been charged. 20-year-old Malik Smith is accused of assaulting an elderly man in the locker room last Friday. He is also accused of attacking another man who tried to stop the assault. Smith now faces an assault with intent to murder charge. We're told the elderly man who was attacked remains hospitalized in critical condition.
Turning now to an update on a late-night trustee meeting that got underway at 10:30 last night at Michigan State University. It saw embattled board chair Rima Vassar resign as chair but remain on the board, and others censured. Now, it is yet another change in leadership at MSU that has already seen its fair share in turnover over the past few years.
And all of this comes after an independent investigation recommended penalties against Vassar and other trustees. Our Rod Maloney is live with more. Hi, Rod.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. You know, this is the report right here, 66 pages long, and it details some rather distasteful conduct that they say was a problem, which all led to last night's meeting. And here are some of the results. As they start today, there is a new president installed at Michigan State University. His name is Kevin Guskiewicz, but it also has a new Board of Trustees chairman by the name of Dan Kelly. He became the president of the Board of Trustees because Dr. Rima Vassar, as you said, resigned before that hastily called meeting last night. And at that meeting, there were a number of votes that did a number of things, which essentially took Rima Vassar, Dr. Rima Vassar, the former chair, and removed some of her portfolio, some of the committees that she was on, particularly the Henry Ford Health MSU Health Services Steering Committee. They also, with Dennis Deno, he was also a board member. He was removed from the chair of Academic Affairs Committee. And then Brianna Scott, who was a trustee, was formally censured along with Deno and Vassar. Now, the Vassar and the Deno actions also sent to the governor a request for her to decide whether they should stay on the board or not, because they are duly elected officials. It's up to the governor to make that call. But here is Dr. Rima Vassar's response last night to all of this after she had stepped down as the chair.
I did hope that my resignation would calm the temperature of the board, and I'm still hopeful of that, even though I believe that these actions are punitive and over the top. I'm proud of my service on this board, of the work that this board has done. and I've been honored to serve as chair. While I concede that I could make different decisions in the past, in some cases over this past year, I've made the wrong decision, the wrong choice. I maintain that I disagree with some of the findings and recommendations in the Miller-Chevalier report.
Now, Dennis Deno, who is a well-known Democratic operative in Lansing, said last night that, quote, "I refute most of the allegations of the Miller-Chevalier report. I will accept a censure but contest any other form of punishment. What has been proposed is overly punitive in nature." Now, the university this afternoon came and put out a release, and basically they said that we recognize certain actions did not meet MSU community expectations. We will take the necessary steps to rebuild trust. So quite a day in East Lansing last night. We have reached out to all of the people that you've just heard about, and so far nobody's gotten back to us, but we are certainly going to go about the business of trying to update the situation, particularly as it pertains to the governor and what she may do in this incident. So for now, reporting live, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
All right, thanks, Rod. Yeah, that trust certainly does need to be rebuilt. And by the way, the change in board leadership comes as Michigan State's new president starts his first day of a 5-year term. Kevin Guskowitz is taking over for interim president Teresa Woodruff, who declined to take the position last year. Guskowitz had been serving as chancellor at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill since the year 2019.
The next phase of demolition getting underway today at one of Detroit's most well-known abandoned factory eyesores. Crews will start taking down the next portion of the Packard plant. The city of Detroit has been working since September of 2022 to demolish the former Packard automotive plant. It's still unclear what the overall timeline will be to get everything torn down. And, of course, what will go in its place.
Exactly. That's always the exciting thing.
That's what we want to look forward to, for sure.
Meanwhile, I just all these things are popping in my head about what I want to do when we get off work.
Exactly.
Do I go to the Riverwalk? Do I go out to a restaurant?
Riverwalk.
Yeah, that's good.
Outdoor restaurant.
I know.
For lunch. You coming, Ashley?
I mean, 70 degrees.
The options are endless, right, ladies? So we have record warmth on tap this afternoon, already sitting in the mid-60s. So we're on our way to possibly beating a record high this afternoon with rain rolling in Tuesday. Some cooler air will filter in for the rest of the week. But when I say cooler, we'll still be about 10 degrees above average. So 66 in Detroit right now, 65 in Howell, 63 in Pontiac, 68 in Monroe. You have to double check the calendar. This feels more like the lunch hour in May, early May at least, than early March. Temperature change about 10 to 15 degrees upward across southeastern Michigan from this time yesterday. So if you thought Sunday was nice, it was just downright beautiful out there. We've had plenty of sunshine. Clouds are starting to build off to our west and south, and that is coming along with a cold front that will sweep across Lake Michigan and eventually making its way here. And that rain that you see behind that, well, that eventually makes its way here heading into tomorrow. But in the meantime, we are holding on to the 60s. Metro Airport at 67, only 2 degrees off from where that record stands. But check out how much cooler it is off to the west behind that front as we look at our regional map. So we have had some decreasing clouds. Clouds will begin to build once again a little bit later this evening as we top out around 70. We're going to time out some rain chances, though, for you and your Tuesday in just a few minutes.
All right. Sounds good, Ashley. Thank you. If you filled up your car recently, you have probably noticed this. Gas prices have jumped 45 cents in the past month. Prices are up 20 cents in just the past week. Industry experts at AAA say this type of sharp increase is not unheard of. Historically, March and April bring higher gas prices as demand rises and the summer driving season gets closer.